Hello, and welcome back to Factorio Space Age. So, as I mentioned at the end of the last recording, I spent some time running through a ton of research, just letting the research that I can do continue onward. That includes research using the yellow stuff and the purple stuff and the science from Fulgora. And while I was doing that, I did a little bit of gardening. So I have moved my launch pads down here, and then I expanded the array. So we now have, I think this is 40 of these guys. Yeah, we now have 40 launch pads. We can't necessarily keep all of them building rockets at top rate, but what we can do is have all of these rockets ready to go the moment a mobile platform slides into orbit and wants a bunch of things. So we can launch off the 40 rockets, and then we can launch off the 40 behind them if they've been idle for a while. And then, of course, we get busy making rockets. And these are all prioritized so that we fill the top row before we go down to the bottom. We've got these set to send stuff one way or the other. And each one of these takes its goodies before it goes on to the next. So that's what we've done there. I moved this stuff up. This is actually a copy of what I did on Fulgora rather than being a copy of what was here earlier. But we're now adding robots to the robot network up here near our landing area. I removed this down here. This used to be our storage area here. I have moved the storage area up. Initially, when I put the boxes out, they were all filtered for rocket fuel, which was kind of confusing. Got that fixed, and now we have all of our stuff that is in storage sitting here. Notice we've got a bunch of uranium. Oh, you shouldn't be like that. Let's have the robots move you guys out into separate thingies. There we go. Yeah, that quickly. We have a lot of robots to be able to do this quickly. I have expanded our robot-mediated build things. Now, admittedly, I should probably have a belt-fed array somewhere that all it does is churn out huge amounts of gears and pipes and coils and so on, but I can just add those. That's easy enough. If we were depending upon stuff like this to make green chips, well, it would be a cloud of robots doing the same thing over and over again. It's just better to do this. Also, I had a problem with iron. We're not actually getting a whole lot of iron out of here. Okay? We're getting a fraction of this stuff. I could look at this and we could look at how much we're getting. So in terms of transport belts, this mine turns out 5 belts worth of iron. And we're basically using iron and steel as fast as we can make it. And the way this was set up, half our iron was going to steel. So I have made this a strict priority of getting the iron plate out because we were building no science. What little iron plate we were getting was being soaked up to make other things. So there we go. And even with our plate mediated like that, we're back down to normal. So it could be I don't need to do it anymore because the steel is backed up again. So maybe I can get rid of that priority, but I think I'm going to leave the priority in just in case. Apparently we used a lot of steel all at once to do other things. Probably to build all those blue belts. Anyway, go back out to the map. You'll see that I have a lot of these red belt areas are becoming blue. As I hit the upgrades, it's upgrading all sorts of things. It's upgrading red belts to blue. It's upgrading the Mark II machines to Mark III. In fact, let's make sure all of these machines are at Mark III now. Get you guys upgraded. Haven't decided when I'm going to do the whole factory, but I do need to build up a good stock of the Mark III assemblers first. What else? Oh, over here, made sure that these guys were building adequate supplies for the nuclear reactor. I think I did that before. So I think we're up to date here. So yeah, we're going good. Oh, I also updated my frontiers. Our pollution cloud, it's now settled down a bit, but it was getting pretty nasty, and I thought I'm getting a little worried about my other frontiers. So what I did is I got this guy going, and I actually have some Tesla turrets I've imported. So we've got this kind of little defensive bump, and I've basically just spread those out all along my walls. And I am not really good at this combat stuff. I actually prefer to play without biters, but this playthrough was with biters, hopefully to get some achievements, but I'm a little less about the achievements now than I used to be. I, for instance, will not be going back to get the speedrun achievements. Homie, too old for that. Anyway, we're all set here. Next thing I did was I thought, well, we want to finish up on Fulgora so we can head out to Vulcanus. Let's look at Fulgora. I've expanded our storage. I have started putting down more things to build on Fulgora. I think I had some of these before. Yeah, I had most of these before. Oh, I did an upgrade. So now the path from this train all the way out to here, through the recyclers, and then out here, and all the way through. This is all now blue belts. Increasing from red to blue is a 50% increase in throughput. So I increased the number of recyclers here so that we exactly handle 2 blue belts of scrap input. We did not expand these, which means we are going to fall behind on the recycling. These will hit 60 stacks. They won't go above that. What will happen is anything over 60 stacks is going to get tossed into the storage. This is why I made the storage bigger, because we need to do something about that. And you can look at that. You can already see we have multiple boxes storing the steel. We are importing steel from Novice, but this is even excess of that. I think I've turned down the steel imports. We'll continue to import steel, or at least have steel on the trader in case we need it. But we need to do 2 things here. I need to go upgrade this to be blue belts. Okay. And we also need to put into place what I call a last chance recycler, which basically prevents us from having a runaway amount in inventory of any single thing. So we need to go back here. So I put up 3 tasks. Upgrade the Fulgora Island mine to blue belts, and backstop overflow recycling. So if anything in stock is over 80 stacks or so, we can recycle it. And then pause scrap if we have enough. So we can say if we have enough of everything, so look at each thing we want to get out of the recycling. And if we have at least a threshold amount of that, say 5 stacks, we can pause the recycling. And this will allow us to conserve the scrap rather than potentially recycling away things that we would want to keep, like, only more. With the blue stuff in place, blue belts in place, we are now making science. So let's look at our science rates on Fulgora. Oh, take a look here. Over the last 10 hours, so here's where I converted to blue. Before that, we were pretty consistently doing 3,600 scrap per minute, which is 2 red belts. So we were keeping 2 red belts saturated with scrap. And we upgraded to blue belt, and now we're up here, and we're running 48. Okay, that should be 54 if it's 2 blue belts, I think. Hold on, let me check. 45 per second times 60 by 2 belts. Yeah, it should be 5,400. So we basically are limited here. We're not keeping the blue belts full. That's because the other side hasn't, mine hasn't been upgraded. As far as science production is concerned, again, at the same time tick, suddenly now we are consistently producing 80 to 90 electromagnetic science packs per minute with some jittering and obviously a fall off there. You know, it happens. But that looks really solid. So we don't need, quote unquote, to go do the upgrade. We could continue like it is and just go on to Vulcanus. But what I want to do is I want to actually go fix this up. And we do need to get... Oh, well, let's get rid of this. Hold on. And what have we just unlocked? We've just unlocked atomic bombs and personal batteries and quality module 3s and a whole bunch of other things that I have forgotten about. No doubt. Anyway. I need to get on a rocket. We're going to start by dumping all of the stuff we have. Let's see, under logistics. I'm going to turn off logistics. I'm going to dump my hunting stuff. So we've got all these Tesla turrets we've imported. That's great. Those will be able to export to Vulcanus soon. Oh, and exporting to Vulcanus. Before we hop on a rocket, why don't I start with 2 more thingies going? So add space platform. This is going to be the Vulcanus Trader. And I'm going to add a platform for the Vulcanus Science, which is metallurgic science packs. So we'll get those 2 going. Okay. And now, with nothing on us, I can grab one of these and travel to the colonizer. And we're going to head back to Fulgora to touch it up. Fresh coffee, good. Okay, so this is the first time I've created a space platform since I reset the achievements back when. I'm glad I'm seeing these achievements again. Yay! That was mainly so we could verify that we'd finished the 3 achievements we set out to make. I could ignore that for the rest of it, but we'll let them tick off. While I am up here, I think I have blueprints all set up for Vulcanus Trader and Vulcanus Science Express. To make those, I am going to need to research Vulcanus, and I think I'm going to do Vulcanus research first, and then I'm going to toss all of these Tier 4 infinites onto the list. There we go. So Vulcanus Trader, stamp that down. This actually already has the changes made here. Vulcanus Trader included a Vulcanus import that I was working on. Basically, I went through the list of thingies that I could import to Vulcanus, and I said, what does it look like I'm going to need? And some of them I left at 0. We're not going to be doing rail early on, so those are zeroed out. Everything else, basically, I said, if I might need it, put it on the list. And that's going to include getting loads of Tesla turrets and electromagnetic plants. And these I am going to be importing from Novice, because the Vulcanus Trader does not go to Fulgora. There we go. And the Vulcanus Science Express, again, we have Vulcanus Science all set up here. This is just the same, exactly the same layout that I've been using for everything else. Now there's going to be a change. Oh, actually have some of the change here. Okay, so this is basically saying we allow the pump to go if all of the destinations are less than 3. This should be it should be equal to or equal to or. I'm going to rework this real quick. So that's why I thought I needed 2. And we're going to be controlling both of them. There we go. So now, this condition is going to be, we are heading for one of these planets, so it's going to be equal to 2. Let's put the 2's in. You go away. So, equal. So if we are in transit, then our source will be set to 1 and our destination will be set to 2. If we are in orbit, then the planet we're orbiting around will be set to 3. So this will output a star if we are actually in transit. And this guy is going to output a star. Whoops. Dang it. Try that again. Two. Cancel out the V and turn all these to ors. So I'll put a star if any of our flight destinations is what we want, is a place we want to go to. Okay, and I've included all of them, even the ones I don't know anything about yet. And this guy is going to be simply velocity less than set point, which is currently 50. Now our condition here is greater than or equal to 2. Oh, come on. There we go. And now we pick up this. And I can fix this trader. So let's make sure we get the whole thing. Needs to go down, including that. There we go. This much. I guess we're going to get the engine in this as well. Okay, there we go. Can I retrofit the rest of these? These are all in orbit around Novus. I can retrofit these to have the new scheduling. You don't have engines. And you are also waiting around Novus. So you can be fixed. There we go. And I had turned your auto requests off because we were around the wrong planet. This guy is still being built. This guy has already been updated. Yay. So after his next flight, when we see him at his other end, his thruster fuel and thruster oxidizer should remain low while he's in orbit. Now this does have a weakness. We are going to have 0 fuel here. Okay. There is no way to connect these to a wire to find out whether they have 0 fuel. If your engines all have exactly 0 fuel and you tell the platform to go somewhere else, it will not update the destination thingy. So I will need something to kickstart this, to put a little bit of fuel in here so we can go somewhere. I think I just need a manual switch I can turn on. So we're going to do this. And you are going to be able to inject a star. We'll leave you off for the moment. I only need to do this on the new ships. Once the ship has been going for a while, it will never actually run completely out of fuel, right? Right. So unfortunately, there's no logic I can do that will tell me that we have absolutely zero fuel down here, and we have fuel, positive fuel up here, and we're dead in the water, and we're in orbit, but we're trying to go somewhere. We need to differentiate between the dead state, dead in orbit, initially, freshly constructed or dead in orbit or dead in space. You differentiate between that and actually waiting in orbit because we're doing other things. It can't be based on the green because we may be waiting on requests. And I can't go into the scheduling and say we're done with this schedule. So I can't read out what the schedule is because when we transition to the schedule, if I poked Vulcanus right now, it would not change the values that I'm seeing. Okay, these guys would all, this guy would still be 3, even though I've told it to go somewhere else. I think that's a bug. I think the moment that you switch to a schedule that says, please go to other planet, it should change to that other planet, unless you've got like incoming rockets or something. Even if you have 0 fuel. Anyway, so we'll need to turn this on briefly, and I need to do this on this guy, and I need to do it on this guy. I only need it, like I said, I only need it on the new ones. Well, it won't hurt to put it on the other ones. Let's go ahead and update the other rockets so they all have this little thingy-babobber. In fact, let's go and grab all of this and take it to Colonizer as well. So we're going to make Colonizer have this same layout too. So if I ever have one of my platforms where the engines have absolutely no fuel and no thruster oxidizer, well, no fuel or no thruster oxidizer, and they really want to go somewhere, but the state is still showing in orbit because we had nothing to break orbit, we could just turn this on and off, just burst it just to get a touch of fuel to convince the control systems that we can go somewhere. Now you should be requesting these. Oh, not enough to fill a rocket. So we need to make constant combinators. We need to make sure all the combinators are being made right now on Novice. So we're not ready to go quite yet. Let's go up to our area here, and I'm going to just snap down all of the combinators. We're just going to build to 400 of these. We're going to start off with that and comparator and selector and constant. Now I am putting down the Mark IIs first and then upgrading, because I really don't know how fast my Mark III assemblers are coming out. So it could be we have more than enough Mark IIIs I could just build with them. Now, for the colonizer, well, we're going to Fulgora right now. Later on, let's turn this off. I do want to put a starter in here for Vulcanus. We haven't started work on it yet, but I'm going to... Oh, the Vulcanus starter is... Okay, this is stuff in above the normal starter. So we're going to do starter... There's our normal starter, which I'll go through this and make sure it's all upgraded. And then we want a Vulcanus starter, which is anything we want to put in here for Vulcanus. Come on. I'm a little disorganized this recording, that's all right. So this will be stuff we want to take to Vulcanus that we don't want to take to every planet. This is stuff we take to every planet. I argue that we already have chemical plants. We don't need extra chemical plants. We don't need extra miners. We've got those. I don't need extra efficiency modules. I am not sure what we're going to take to Vulcanus that is above and beyond this. Anyway, we'll work that out. And I am actually on the colonizer right now. We are waiting on decider combinators, right? Because we just asked it to send decider combinators up to every craft. And we can't really move until we get them. Oh, bad planning. Come on. I am going to set this up so that once we get them, we're going to go on ahead to Fulgora. We're going to wait at Fulgora. And I'm going to say drop to Fulgora when we get there. So if I don't come back to this in time, it will eventually drop me on Fulgora, and that'll interrupt me. So these combinators are going. Basically, we're having to do a launch to each one of our platforms for this. Oh, I should have entries over here for these new guys, shouldn't I? So you are alt-right-click there, and you are alt-right-click there. How do I want to organize this? I rarely go to the science orbital. In fact, I never go to the science orbital. I do go to the traders, and I do go to the expresses. I think I go to the traders slightly more often. The Science Express guys are fire and forget, but I do occasionally go visit them. There's our 4 mobile platforms for stuff, and our colonizer, which is still waiting. What are you waiting on? You're all waiting on copper coils, which are waiting on copper plate. Copper plate, guys, come on. Oh, I'm not capturing the copper plate from where I expected it to be captured. Okay, so we'll fix that. So I'm going to capture it from all of these places where it's left over from other things. That'll be here. No, not here. It'll be here, I guess. Well, both of these actually. Big stock copper plate. And you need to be a red box. And you are copying copper plate until you have 4,000 in logistics. That's perfect. We're just going to do that for all of these guys. Now, the way the copper is being handled, it's actually prioritizing upwards so that we are keeping this guy fed, but I also need to yeah, 66 balancer here. I do not have my balancer book, and I was looking for this earlier. I've got all sorts of stuff that I've accumulated, and I think I don't have any belt balancer books. Oh well. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to try to fix my copper throughput problem. Oh, and you also need to be fixed. I'm not going to try to fix my copper throughput problem because we will be bringing back foundries and smelters. Well, mainly foundry. Bringing back foundries from the other side of the world, which will increase our yields to the point where we'll be dealing with that. There's our copper. Yay, now we have copper. And I should be getting copper on these lines as well. Okay, copper wire coming in. What's the balance here? Apparently I need... Oh! We need these guys to make those guys. Oh boy. I need 4 more of those. Okay, let's balance this up. So we need decider combinators. Because I decided to make selector combinators, I need more decider combinators to be able to make them. So that'll balance those up. And now if I look at this whole thing, hold on, upgrade. This says we now have the right number of decider combinators to just balance this guy. And we need 12 more of these guys. So that means I need to take this guy and put him here. Take that guy and put him somewhere over here. I'll take you. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That will make extra decider combinators. I make use of decider combinators in my builds. So now, if I look at just this bit, we have extras being made of everything. Yay! Not enough to fill a rocket, because we keep sending decider combinators the wrong way. I wonder if I have picked up some... all of you guys can go away. This guy is now completely built? No, it's not completely built. It's waiting on some things still. But I think all the things we have here are ready to go back. You don't need those anymore, or these guys. You're still waiting on deciders. Okay. You have extra decider combinators that can go back. There we go. And you are currently building up the imports because we are taking the imports to Fulgora. Why am I taking the imports to Fulgora? I don't need imports to Fulgora. I might as well take a load as I go. No, let's not. Don't! Okay, so we're going to stop taking imports to Fulgora. We're going to stop carrying stuff back. This is just going to be colonizer. And you are taking starter. We'll come back and get starter when we want it. And Vulcanus starter. There we go. And Vulcanus import. So we get the first load of Vulcanus imports going. So with this logic, we should see is that when we arrive at Fulgora, we will not automatically completely refuel all of the thrusters and oxidizers. It just gets a bip now and then, a little teeny short bip. I am considering making the controller even more complicated. So if we drop below our set speed, instead of turning it on until we're above the set speed, we just touch it. In other words, we reduce the rate at which we can put fuel into these guys. But to do that, I need to know more completely what rate we're burning the fuel at. Oh, there it is. We're burning at 120 per second. So basically, that would be 1 tick out of 10, but I need 3 ticks out of 10 for the rocket. So if I have a counter counting up to 10, and I have a condition that says the counter is less than the number of rockets, so if 0 through 9, back to 0. If I have a condition that says less than the number of rockets, then we should have this level out. Of course, that's, oh, wait a minute. 120 a second is the maximum when you're inefficient. Look at the consumption rate as our speed varies. I was going to go point at it with my mouse, but so we see our speed there anywhere. We don't see our speed there we see our speed above it. So when the speed is down around 50, we're sitting at 6 per second. So if I was just giving enough fuel for 6 per second fuel per engine, then the engines themselves would do it. So I could do, yeah, we could do this. I could work this out so that we actually do a metered rate on the fuel that would keep us using fuel only, we only have 6 per second. So if we were going too fast, the engines would burn too much fuel and they would go out, and we would slow down until the engines were just barely there. Okay, that would work. And we have arrived at Fulgora. Look at all the crap we're sending down to Fulgora. Excuse me? Hello? I should be dropping to Fulgora. Oh, I'm on the colonizer. I was looking at the wrong one. Okay. That's one problem with having all your ships look the same. Okay, so the Fulgora trader is sitting there at Fulgora, and it has dropped all of its stuff. I'm going to drop all of its extra stuff here. Oh, that was stupid. That's stuff I'm importing. So I just edited the trader. I need to pay attention to what ship I'm on. You are the Fulgora trader, so we need you and we need you. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. So you're going to be sitting here until you've pulled back up that stuff. I'm going to let you go. We're going to go back to the colonizer. The colonizer is the one that's supposed to be carrying the starters. So we've got starter, Vulcanus starter. I'm going to turn off that import. I don't need that guy there. And here we have arrived. Go back to colonizer, and I'm going to make sure he drops everything he's got. He's got nothing left to drop. You don't have any reason to go back and forth automatically, so we are going to give you a stop condition there. So we're here on Fulgora. Carry around base. Except we're no longer doing red belts, we are doing blue belts. We're going to do 3 stacks of each one of these guys here. We do not need defense, because we're not attacking anything. So, tasks. Number 1 task is to upgrade the mine. Why is this showing me the current task? Oh, I just did a complete the task. Upgrade Fulgora mine. We'll turn that off. Put him at the top and take it. There we go. Sorry, little robots, you had to go over the lightning bay to get me. We are still waiting on any of that stuff, things that are being built here. Potentially we are building stuff. Why am I carrying 200 logic, 200 recyclers? I don't need to carry 200 recyclers. Is there anything else here we're carrying a lot of? Well, we want to be carrying significant amounts of rail. I'm going to move all of the rail stuff down here because we also need to carry some ramps and some supports. This is just in case we build more rail. Trying to get all of this. Each time I go and revisit this, I want to make it a little bit more organized because I keep disorganizing it. Move these ingredients up there. Now down here, let's put our fluid stuff. So offshore pumps and pump jacks and normal pumps. Pipes, pipe to ground. Actually, this goes like that. And then we have processing of fluids, like that. Now, actually, we no longer have those. So miners, where are our miners? There they are. So we mine stuff, we put it in assembling machines. We don't need centrifuges ever, except one novice, and we've already dealt with all of that. Scrapping, electromagnetic plants. Okay, that's epsilon better. Am I carrying robots? I am carrying 100 robots. So according to this, Roboport disabled, Alt F to toggle. What? Oh, okay. So we enable our Roboports. Max robots 100 with 16 charging spots and 80 by 80 charging area. Yeah. So that's the size that we can handle. Oh, I need to bring out a bunch of these guys. Let's see. Let's request in. I don't know if I have any of these available. Uncommon accumulators. Let's see if I've got uncommon accumulators available. Be nice to get that filled up and find out if we are healthy or not. We've probably been placing our uncommon accumulators as fast as we get them, in which case I'm good. Oh my goodness, we have 250 of them. And in here we have 460 more. Oh, we got a lot of accumulators. Okay, so if we have power issues at all, I can put in some more uncommons, although looks like we are still happy on the discharge side. Now, going to blue belts here is going to potentially increase how much we get. Although we are going to be limited by the miners. Anyway, upgrade all of you guys. So this increases how fast we can transport the mined goods. If I look at the rate here, in terms of blue belts, we're only 1.7 blue belts. So yeah, this mine isn't going to drive us to full speed. However, if we looked at it in terms of red belts, we were doing more than 2 red belts. So going from red to blue will increase us, although we won't be stressing things out. So that takes care of upgrading the Fulgora mine. Okay, so now backstop overflow recycling. This is very important. Okay, we're going to start down here somewhere. You get recyclers. Okay. So basically, we've got a recycler, which is going to be outputting into a active provider chest. That recycler is going to be taking some input from something. It's going to be a requester chest. That requester chest is going to be driven by a decision. Let's start off from this guy and let's make our common stuff. First off, we're going to take our current logistic networks and we're going to say, what is the stack size of each item in the logistic network? We are at the same time going to provide a 1 cycle delay. This takes 1 tick to get the output results. So if this goes from 0 to non-zero or non-zero back to 0, we want these outputs to be from the same cycle. And you are simply, for each on the input, we are going to add 0 and send that on our output. Okay, these guys, we are going to say, let's put it this way. For reasons that I probably won't be very good at explaining, I want to do no. Let's do this differently. Let's say this is the stack size for each thing. I'm now going to multiply each of these guys times n, where n is the number of stacks I want to keep of each thing. And that's our output. Actually, n is going to be the negative of the number of items that we want to keep, which means I need a guy saying S for the number of stacks times -1. This is so I don't have to put in negative constants. This is really just me being uber lazy and doing 15 bajillion things to automate it when I could just do one thing to keep it clean. You're coming in on green. And like that. and you are providing S. So the description here is S is the threshold in stacks for when we want to start recycling any individual item where we have too many of them in stock. Yeah, not clear. Normally I would take a piece of documentation like that and think about it for a bit and rewrite it a few times. I may refine that later. And this is compute n, the negative, which is the negative of the number of stacks of each item we are willing to stock for triggering a sweep of the excess items. Okay, this guy is going to take our input stack sizes multiplied by negative n. So compute the negative of the number of individual items we want to stock before sweeping up the overflow. You notice the wording there keeps getting changed a little bit, so negative is that. And now we are going to say coming out of here, if we take this guy plus this guy, that's going to be a... Oh, wait a minute. We're going to eliminate this by doing the subtract over here. Okay, so we could do by S. So no more negative. Compute the number of individual items Okay, so there's our limit. And now I take this guy, and the limit is going to be in green. And the current stock is going to be in red. So for each signal on green, we're going to subtract that same signal on red. Now I believe if the signal on green is 0, then we won't get an output. And this is each output. This is compute over stock quantities. Now, we do need to filter some things a bit. Okay, so 2 things. Where did my comparator go? First of all, when we read our logistics network from here, we want to ignore the values that come up negative. Those can cause problems. For instance, if the limit is 0 and a value comes up negative, then we're going to say, oh, we need to get rid of some. So I prefer to filter those out rather than trying to set up the algorithm to handle that properly. So if each is greater than 0, we output each. We put that in here, and now we just make sure that these guys use this guy. Now the other thing is we need to put this on here. So this is outputting a whole bunch of positive and negatives. Requester chests and filters and so on ignore negative values, but I prefer to take them away so they're not constantly there. Which means we're putting this out, and this gives us this guy. Why is S equals 1 coming up? There we go. So these are the excess quantities we have of each thing. Oh, S is only one. S needs to be the number of stacks we want to keep. Right, there we go. S is the threshold in stacks when we want to start recycling. So boom, if we have 200 per stack of batteries, then we want to keep 16K batteries totally in all of our stock anywhere. This is kind of high, so that allows things to go over, but it is a threshold that is low enough that we don't have to have an infinite number of storage boxes. That's all we really want to do. Coming out the end here, we're still showing 16K. So green minus red. Oh, excuse me, red minus green. So, amount we have minus the limit gives us a positive quantity of how far you are over the limit. And that comes out there. And apparently we are over the limit on electromagnetic science packs. We have 17,000 electromagnetic science packs in stock. I am going to set S. Oh, we also have the possibility of I thought these guys were set to stop building when they got to a certain limit. These guys are just building forever. Oh, so you guys need to all say connect and build when science is less than some figure. Yeah, we're going to only build until we have 4,000 science. Thank you. Actually, 8,000. Is there anything else that we have huge quantities of that I want to be sure to not get rid of? I'm okay with peeling apart all of these things except for the science. So what I want to do here is I want to have something that comes in here and increases these. So these are overrides and stock, override, adjust, stock, limits for each individual item. So if I come in here and I say we want to allow up to 10,000 extra science, then we come over here and we see that we no longer have science on the list. That's perfect. So there's our base computation, which is going to be only done once for the entire array here. Now, we want to come in with this. I want to pick off one signal. So we're going to select input, and we're going to have the index come from a signal I. Okay, so we're going to get the ith signal coming in, and that's going to be a quantity that we want to get rid of. But we don't want to be requesting the quantity. What we want to do is we want to request one stack. So this is going to be stack size. And this is what we actually are going to request here. Notice that I use red as my standard thing. You and I will set requests. We're not going to trash unrequested because as our priority list changes, we will have requested stuff in, it will appear here. It will, since it's a requester box, those items will no longer be part of stock. So that's removed it from stock. It's now in the recycler. We want to recycle it no matter what. We don't want it to be kicked out of the recycler just because we no longer need to recycle more of it. But we do need to request some buffer chests. Okay, so you've got you. And I'm going to build 2 of these guys back to back. Okay, take this and I'm going to put it into these guys. And these are now requesting steel. We're going to go up here. And we need to increment I by 1 going upwards. So input is I plus 1. Output is I. Okay. Now the I's are going to forward on a green line. And the inventory goes up on a red line. So these guys should now pick up the second item. Okay. 3, 4, 5. So we're going to do the top 6 items. Now I am going to relocate this because I want to do a bunch of them. Actually, if I did just 5 of them, one, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we do 5 of them. That fits in between 2 of these guys. Let's start it there. Oh, wait a minute. If I fit it down below here, that'll work. Oh, never mind. Okay, computation here. Coming out there. We're going to string it along back on these guys. We may need a number of these. We're going to put them in here. So we need to go back to this. Okay, so all total, if something hits that limit, we are going to be requesting 8 stacks of it into these guys. How are you already connected to him? Okay, so once we have all of these in place, what are we missing? We are missing the fancy combinators. Are we making fancy combinators here? We're probably importing them, but I want to be making them locally as well. We are not making fancy combinators. Magic production. Starting here, I am making... Wait a minute. We actually have combinators that we can copy from Novice. Just did those. I'm going to grab this whole bank. And you just get tossed in just like this. We don't have to make any copper coils because those we get directly from recycling. And notice how that number went zoop all the way down. So if I've done this right, we should now be steadily reducing the numbers in this red signal. We should be steadily reducing the top 5 numbers. You know what? I should have this forwarding internally. So I'm not counting on my power to forward the signal. In fact, I am going to remove all signal wires from those. These now work properly. Steel's not moving much, is it? Let's double it. So we do that, and like that. And I did the midway one first, just so we get the red signal moved across. There we are. We are now built. It's now picking up 16 stacks. So if we need to get rid of steel, we're going to be picking up 16 stacks of steel into the requester chests. So when we hit that 80 mark, it's going to bring us down to 66. Considering 60 is our primary focus, from 80 to 60 is pretty good. 46K. Speeding up time. Well, concrete's going down. I don't think we're making any headway on steel. I think this is just barely keeping up with steel. It's tempting to put up a special smelter that just says, guys, do steel. Although we've got 16 recyclers recycling steel right now. If I hit Alt-X and I go over all the steel recyclers, in terms of steel per minute, we are consuming 480 per minute and producing 120. So we're doing 360 away from this. This guy is producing 280. So we are getting rid of more steel than this produces. But we're also producing steel here. I think these guys are producing steel out of the LDS. Yeah. So we may have a problem with steel. I may want to replicate just the top one. So just the number 1 stuff. I'm gonna maybe have this be like a bonus. So whatever our number one item is, we've got an extra set of those. Now, we should have had the amount of steel go down suddenly just because it's in there. Yeah, 46 to 43. That was just our initial, fill in the boxes. We're now draining at 720 a minute, so hopefully that will make headway. What I want to see is something else being our number one. Okay, so backstop overflow recycling is done. So pause scrap if we have enough. Oh boy. How do I say we have enough? We figure out how many we want, and we compare it with how many we have. So this is going to be recycler output items. So here's all of our things that we get from recycling. So if we have enough of all of these, we can pause the scrap. And later on, I will add some stuff to make it be able to do other qualities. So we're going to take this and I'm going to compute the stack size for each one, and then I'm going to compute the number of items for each one, and then I'm going to compare the number of items in there with what's going on. So none of you guys are hooked up yet, so boom, you go to stack size and you go to the multiply. And stack sizes go back down there. So this is stack size. This is each on red, which is the number of, which is this 1 times number of stacks. Oh, there's one more multiply we're going to have to do. Oh, I can put the number of stacks in on this. So each one of these could have a different stack size. So this each, instead of putting all these to 80, what I'm going to do is, well, all these to 5, is I'm going to say, so by default, I'm going to say I want at least 5 stacks of each and everything in that list. And we could add more sections to add more things that we want. We take this, multiply it by that, giving, this is our minimum quantities. Okay. And this is going to be for each on red less than each on green unfortunately this comes up with all of the ones that are oh, each on red greater than its corresponding thing in green. Output is T. We just need T to be equal to the number of items there. And we're going to put one of these things in over here. This is going to be each on red greater than 0. So and this is going to be C. So C is the number of distinct items we're asking for. T is the number of items that we have enough of. We put in one more comparator. Hold on, maybe I can do this directly. Can I say enable if T is less than C? Yes, I can. Okay, so if the number of things for which we have enough is not less than the number of things for which we want some, then we can stop the belts. So there's our belt stopper. And that is a absolute dead stop paranoid thing. And again, we could manipulate this by overriding quantities here. I could say, well, I want extra holmium ore, or I want less of ice, something like that. And that would still work. So now we have something that will choke off our scrapping if we have 5 stacks of each thing that we can get from scrapping. Note that we are not doing any quality yet, but none of this is dependent upon quality or the number of items. So we could put quality modules in our miners, we could put quality modules in our scrappers, and all of this would work. What wouldn't work would be this guy, because each one of these strips is meant to handle exactly one kind of item with exactly one kind of quality. We would have to have these guys accept any quality, and these conditions would have to be handling, well, yeah, we can't say any quality, so which means we would need to have more complicated qualities here. In fact, we might end up with just saying, well, scrap if we have more than N of this, and not look at whether we need other stuff. So we would have to adjust this for quality. But then we would be scrapping all qualities of. So at this point, it almost becomes better to shift over completely to bot-oriented stuff. So we take all of our outputs and we shove them in the botnet, and we let the bots say we have more than 40 stacks of a specific thing, say uncommon green chips, and those get recycled. That means a lot more bots doing a lot more things, which means a lot more power. How are we doing for power? We're doing really great for power. We could do even really greater. We are currently carrying, let me monitor my current stock of uncommon accumulators. I'm going to put some more uncommon accumulators down to the south. Have some that are already scheduled to go in. I can just come in here and start bipping these guys together. And 16 more. I guess these got normal accumulators in there. Yeah, that's good enough. You guys are stopped because we have way too much science available. I am going to have Science Express move 4,000 per trip. So you're already slowed down because we're not using it. So now you'll be We'll be getting bigger loads at a time, which means you're going to be moving even less often. What's our next task? Pause scrap if we have enough. This is now done. Okay, now my 10 minutes out here on Fulgora fixing all this stuff up turned into an hour and 20 minutes. But we're now fixed up. We should now have the Fulgora trader ready to go. Okay, you're going to grab your resupply and your imports, and you're going to be ready to bring exports back. You're going to bring this guy. You're going to do all of this stuff. Colonizer, we need to bring up starter, and we need to think about Fulgora starter. And I need to go back to novice to start pulling together my starter kit for Vulcanus. And I may just go out with nothing special. As long as I am carrying Tesla turrets with me, I am good. Let's make sure... Oh, Tesla turrets are not on here. Let's put these on this starter. You are going to be carrying Tesla turrets because I'm going to be using Tesla turrets to get rid of the destroyers. Or demolishers, sorry. And the Tesla turrets actually are importing from Novice. Oh, and we're already getting electromagnetic plants. Let's import these from Fulgora. As long as we are in orbit around Fulgora, we might as well bring them up. Available on planet 106. 10 per rocket. That's going to take a while. Okay, so I will resume recording when I have gotten back all of my goodies to Novice, and we will do a quick review of everything before we go to Vulcanus, and I will see you then.